Today we're going to learn about Saudi Arabia. Here are the main ideas for our Saudi Arabia lesson. 1. Saudi Arabia is the largest country in the Arabian Peninsula, but it is mostly covered in desert. 2. The Saudi Arabian culture is strongly influenced by Islam. 3. Saudi Arabia has a unique government and economy. And 4. There are smaller countries on the Arabian Peninsula as well that are very similar to Saudi Arabia. First, let's think about the physical geography of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is located in the Arabian Peninsula, which is a region within the region of Southwest and Central Asia. Saudi Arabia is also the largest country on the Arabian Peninsula. We can see with this political map on the left that Saudi Arabia takes up quite a bit of space. It is also bordered by Jordan, Iraq, Kuwait, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Yemen. It also has a considerable coastline on the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. Now, if we look at the physical map of Saudi Arabia, we can see that towards the east there is a little bit of lowland, but it is mostly higher elevated, and the Rub al Khali takes up most of the area. That is the dominant physical feature there. It is very, very dry. Now, Saudi Arabia is the largest country on the Arabian Peninsula. It has major religious, cultural, and economic centers. Saudi Arabian culture is strongly influenced by Islam. How is that, you ask? Most Saudis follow one or two types of Islam. Yes, that's right. Islam has two branches. Just as there are many branches of Christianity, there are several branches of Islam. Shia Muslims, spelled S-H-I-A, tend to be more conservative and believe that Islamic teachings can only come from leaders called imams. Now, Sunni Muslims, that's spelled S-U-N-N-I, believe that a majority of the community can interpret Islamic teachings. Lessons don't just have to come from imams. Now, most Saudi Arabian Muslims are Sunni Muslims. The city of Mecca is one of the most important cities to Muslims, as we have talked about, and the city of Mecca is located in Saudi Arabia. So this country sees a lot of foreign visitors every year. And this picture in the top left corner is a picture of a holy site in Mecca. Islam also requires a certain modesty of the Muslims. Because most Saudi Arabians practice Islam, you'll see very modest Saudi Arabian clothing. And this clothing covers arms and legs and heads. Men, like you see in this picture down below, wear long shirts, and usually it's made of like a cottony white material, and headdresses, while women, which you can see right next to the man, usually wear black cloaks and veils. Not every woman has to have her face covered, but some do. Alright, not all Saudis dress this way. There are some Western styles as well, but again, since many Saudis practice Islam, many Saudis dress in this manner. Now, Saudi Arabia has a very interesting government and economy. Saudi Arabia has a monarchy, just like England. All right, Saudi Arabia has a monarchy, and the current monarch's family has been in power ever since 1932. And you can see the current Saudi Arabian monarch standing there next to the lovely Queen Elizabeth II. There are government officials, of course, but most of those government officials are relatives of the king. There is no national elected legislature either, and only men are allowed to vote for local officials. So the government is quite different compared to the United States. You have a king who starts to rule because of how he was born. You have some government officials, but those are all relatives of the king. So the people have very, very little say in the government. And even when people are allowed to have a say in the government, usually it's only men. Now, Saudi Arabia has a very rich economy, and that's because they have the world's largest oil reserve, and it's the world's leading exporter of oil. Right? That's right, the world's largest oil reserve. Nobody beats Saudi Arabia when it comes to oil. Now, what does this mean for Saudi Arabia? It means they have a lot of power, all right? Because the more oil you have, the more power you have. Saudi Arabia is a very influential member of OPEC. OPEC just stands for the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. And this organization works together to influence the prices of oil and say who is allowed to get which supply. Right? And we can see with this map shows you where the oil reserves are located within Saudi Arabia. There are some in the Arabian Gulf, but large oil beds within the country. So with all this oil around, what could go wrong? Right? They have a lot of power, they have a lot of oil. Well, they have oil, but they don't have a whole lot else. They have to import their fresh water and food because the region is so dry. There's no way that they can grow enough food to support the entire population within the country, so they have to buy it all, and that stuff gets expensive very quickly. So while Saudi Arabia can make a lot of money off of its oil stores, it has to spend most of that money buying fresh water and buying food. Now, Saudi Arabia is not alone on the Arabian Peninsula. Like Saudi Arabia, there are other countries on the Arabian Peninsula as well. You have the United Arab Emirates, you have Qatar, you have Oman and Yemen and Jordan and Iraq, Kuwait and Bahrain. And like Saudi Arabia, these countries mostly have monarchies, Islamic cultures, and economies based on oil. So you have some similarities throughout the Arabian Peninsula. All right, so that finishes our Saudi Arabian lesson. Remember to answer the Saudi Arabian questions in your journal and get ready for the activity in class tomorrow. Bye!